Okay, well, it's time now for our a la carte segment. Each year, thousands of migrants go through Calais with the hope of making it across the Channel to the United Kingdom. But what happens to those who finally make it? Well, journalist Brenna Daldorf wanted to find out and has put together a series of reports for Info Migrants, a news and information site for migrants, really to counter misinformation at every point of their journey. Brenna, thanks for coming into the studio and telling us about your reports. It was actually here in France, after meeting with one particular family, that you decided to put these stories together.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2016, I did a series of reports from Grande-Sainte, which is a bit like Calais. It was a migrant camp where lots of people were trying to cross the English Channel and get to the UK. And while I was there, I saw these appalling conditions. I mean, Grande-Sainte was like a field of mud with a couple of tents. I remember when I was reporting, I went almost knee-deep in mud. And while I was there, I met a Kurdish Iraqi family. And they had fled the Islamic State group and arrived there. There was a mother, a father, and they had their daughter with them. She was only 2 at the time. And so I spent this day with them, and it was really one of the most heartbreaking days I've ever spent reporting because, you know, what do you do with a 2-year-old child in these awful conditions? You know, she was crying and she was cold and there was nowhere to put her down, and it was just kind of excruciating. And the whole reason this family was here was because they desperately wanted to get to the UK. And so when I left Grande-Sainte, you know, I kept thinking about this family, what happened to them, what happened to the little girl especially, whose name was Jana. And a few months later, I got a message from the mother on Facebook, and she told me that they had made it to the UK. And so ever since then, I've just had this idea that I wanted to see what happened to them, and also to other migrants who finally made it to this kind of dream destination.
Indeed, to see, well, what is their dream destination? What did it turn out to be like for Hema and her daughter?
Yeah, so they were actually smuggled over in a truck, and when they got to the UK, they claimed asylum. And they appealed the process. They were rejected the first time, and then they were actually given leave to remain in the UK. And they were sent out to this town called Stoke-on-Trent because the UK government kind of disperses migrants. Stoke-on-Trent is this kind of gritty industrial town, you know, former coal mining, old porcelain factories. And now they're living in social housing there. And so I went to meet them. Since Hema has had a second daughter, a little girl named Mia. And it was really amazing to see them, especially Jana, because she's 5 now and she's been in the UK for 2 years. And she speaks fluent English. It's really amazing with this heavy northern accent. So it's really cute.
Oh, that is wonderful. So pretty much a happy ending, more or less, for this family.
I mean, I kind of wish I could say that, but I found that Hema is actually really struggling. The girls are kind of doing okay, but so Hema has a lot of physical issues from the journey because, you know, they went on foot for long portions all the way from Iraq to the UK. She carried her daughter, so she threw out her back and she threw out her hips. So she's in a lot of physical pain. She also really has a lot of trauma, kind of lingering PTSD from both the arrival of the IS group in Iraq and also from the journey. You know, she kept telling me that she's seen really horrible things, that she has trouble sleeping. And finally, I think the isolation is just really big. You know, she came from this big bustling family in Iraq. She had 6 sisters, and now they're in this, you know, kind of town in the UK. Jana is the only migrant in her school. There's no one else in the community, and I think she just feels really alone. And, you know, she told me she's happy for her daughters that she's there, but she thinks that she'll always be sad.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing they've gained, I guess, is safety from that Islamic State group that went into their city. But yeah, it's hard to imagine the isolation it must be like. It sounds like she's struggling. And the sadder thing is that you followed a number of different families and saw that was pretty much the case for a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. It was a really tough week of reporting, actually, because everyone I spoke to was really, you know, they didn't find the England that they had hoped that they would find. It wasn't this dream destination. And I was chatting about it to a man named Ewan Roberts, who works with migrants in Liverpool. And he had this quote that really stuck with me. And he said, you know, when people make it to England, it's kind of like as if you're running from this bull. You know, you're running from all the bad things that are happening to you. And you finally make it over the fence and you just kind of sink down in relief. And I'm finally made it. And then there's a bull coming at you from the other direction. And that's really what it's like for so many people. They have a lot of challenges once they make it to the UK.
And Brenna, sadly, those challenges can last quite a long time.
Absolutely. So one of the places that I went to was an elementary school in London called Surrey Square. And a lot of the kids there are the children of migrants. So a lot of them were born in the UK, and their parents have been there for 10 years or so. But these families are still struggling from immigration challenges. A lot of them are facing homelessness because one thing that the UK government has done is given new arrivals no recourse to public benefits. And so they face housing insecurity. These children also, despite the fact they were born in the UK, they have to apply for citizenship, and the fees are insane. They're like over £1,000.
Oh wow! So still, not given the same rights as the others in the UK. Well, sadly, Brenna, we're out of time, but you can, of course, find out more about Brenna's reports on the website Info Migrants. For now, we're going to have to wrap it up, though, from this hour of Live from Paris. Do have a good day here on France 24.